information, and I have a lot of questions, but I will wait till the end of Christina's presentation. And for all of you who watch, please get into Inventora, give us your questions so we can have a nice Q&A after Christina. So Christina, the floor is yours to talk about the future of work.
Thank you very much, Nikki. Let me try to share my screen. Let me see if I can manage that. Can you see something?
Yes.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
So first of all, thank you very much, Carlos, for the great introduction. I think you have summarized my talk very well. Thank you also, Nikki, for inviting me to this event. I'm really, really honored to be here in such great company. And I have to say that I feel quite familiar actually being hosted in Demokritos, because I have been back in Demokritos many years back as a physics major doing my thesis, and then later on as a postdoc associate before I actually decided to make a career turn and go into the corporate world. So today's, what I want to talk to you about today is AI and the future of work, but I'm definitely not an AI expert. So what I want to do today is share some of my thoughts, my personal thoughts and insights that I have drawn from three key sources. First of all, my experience from managing commercial operations, which is basically an area that is already impacted by automation. The second source is my experience being a member of a large technology company like Vodafone, and I see how such companies are embracing the opportunities of AI. And the third source is actually following the real experts, the think tanks and the thought leaders on the topic. And my viewpoint, Carlos has actually summarized it quite well for me. So I'm also on the optimistic side. I believe that AI will be creating an exciting future of work for us with better paid and more jobs than it displaces. But I do think that we are not actually quite prepared to adapt to this new automated way of work. So we need to do more to get prepared. And the real challenge will not be about competing with automation. I think it will be about adapting to automation. And this is exactly the viewpoint that I want to elaborate over the next 20 minutes. So let's start with the first part, which is basically, is AI creating an exciting future for us? So I think everybody agrees that it will be disruptive. I think there are many that cast this disruption in a negative light, and they project a bleak future, robots taking their lives, human workers lose their purpose, their self-esteem, the poor get poorer, more marginalized, unemployment rises, the unemployable turn into virtual reality games, and so forth. I think this is quite a fascinating view, but I think there is definitely another way to look at it. And I think realistically, we are just seeing history repeating itself. As with any other technological advance, so far what we have seen is that it will be disruptive, but with a positive net impact for the workplace. So I think automation will create more jobs. It will help people do their jobs better. It will create new lines of business. The skills that makes us truly human, like creativity, empathy, will get even more important. And we also, I think, we may actually manage to create some more free time for ourselves to actually do the things that matter most. So also data and the statistics so far also point to this more optimistic view. So some Deloitte research that I was reading about reports that between 2001 and 2015, automation technology has created 3.5 million of better paid and higher skilled jobs in the UK alone. So I think this optimistic view is really the more realistic one. Now let me try to move. Now, just to prove the concept, I will try to share some very, let's say, grounded examples, starting from my immediate and current reality of managing commercial operations in Vodafone. So in Vodafone, what I do is I manage call center staff, technical support staff, telesales personnel, back office staff, and you might argue all these have a high risk of automation. So let's take, for example, a call center representative. Many of those people that we hire are young, educated people. They are ambitious. They are right out of university. They're looking for a first job. They're looking into a stepping stone to enter a multinational. And then you have the job of the call center agent, which is low paid, low status. It is quite demanding. It is actually, you need to be a multitasker. You need to work shifts, nights, weekends. Your performance is measured actually every 15 minutes, and your commissions are based on very, very strict quantitative KPIs. So it's not, you know, it's no surprise that this job suffers from very low employee satisfaction and very high attrition. So let's see how much threat is a chatbot really to our call center representative. First, as we stand, chatbots are actually creating some digital career opportunities for the call center agents, because we create chatbots in the same teams of commercial operations, and the best trainers that we can use to actually train bots to do what we want them to do are call center representatives who know how to serve clients. So basically, so far, we are seeing that you can even extend the career aspects for a call center agent. Second way that chatbots help, we actually put them to the service of a customer care representative. They act as super agents that they can assist to retrieve information faster, better, while they're doing their job. And the third aspect that I see, which is a bit more forward-looking, is that eventually, once chatbots will automate the simple calls, the boring, the more mundane calls, the ones that are, for example, I have lost my PUC and I want to retrieve my PUC, I want to check my balance, they will leave the more complex and interesting conversations for a human agent to handle. And my bet is that by removing the simple tasks from the agent and focusing them on the difficult, the more value-adding ones, the need for higher skilled representatives will increase, the salaries will increase, and also I think we have good chances to improve the employee satisfaction and reduce attrition. So let me give you another example from the COVID pandemic. In the pandemic, we have seen that avoiding human-to-human interaction is quite critical. It is critical for the lives of everybody, for the patient, but also for the healthcare providers. Now, imagine if we had more of those little robots that you see on the upper right screen, that they disinfect the areas, they measure the patient's temperature, they deliver the medicine. Would the nurse be out of job, risking losing their job? I think if we had more of them in Italy, Spain, the UK, we would have probably saved more lives of nurses, doctors, and patients, because we would have avoided some unnecessary contacts, and we would also have freed up more time for the nurses and the doctors to actually treat more patients at the same time. So I don't see really any risk from taking jobs, rather than actually improving the jobs and the life of everybody. Let me give you another example, which is I'm particularly fond of, and this comes again from the Vodafone ecosystem. This is the DreamLab app. This is not exactly AI, but it is rather cloud computing. Still, I think it is a very, very nice example of how we can use exponential technologies to do our job better. And in this case, a researcher gets help to actually finish his research faster. So the concept is pretty simple. While your phone is charging, this crowdsourcing app taps into the phone's unused processing power, and it turns it into a virtual supercomputer that can crunch tiny, tiny calculations and analyze data that then the researcher uses to get faster into the in the results of the analysis. And this particular example that you see here on the screen is from a collaboration between Vodafone and Imperial College on corona research. They are using this supercomputer power to actually identify drugs and molecules that can benefit COVID patients. Now, if we look a bit further ahead into the near future, and I don't think I can talk about anything further than maybe the next 5 years, but I think what we will be seeing more of is this human-machine, human-bot collaboration. And that will definitely bring new jobs and new lines of business. There are some predictions that say that by 2030, half of our conversations will be with a bot. So we definitely will need more trainers to teach AI systems how to mimic human behavior. And understanding language is, let's say, the first layer of teaching a bot how to do conversations. But that doesn't mean that the bot will understand sarcasm, stress, anger. That requires empathy. And injecting empathy into a chatbot, that requires a human trainer. So there's already a new wave of startups that is injecting emotional intelligence into chat-based communication. There is also, I think we will see more and more of need for content moderators. Facebook is using it. Google are using for YouTube moderation. I think we will need more and more of those jobs. And then trainers will bring the human element to AI systems. We will also need what are called explainers. And these explainers will bridge the gap between the new systems and their human managers. So they, for example, C-suite executives, they will never feel comfortable taking a decision based on a just black box algorithm. They will need a human to explain in plain English to ease the concerns. And these explainers will perform sort of autopsies when the machines make mistakes. I think we will also see a lot more need for human science and ethics, so that to ensure that the technology that is being developed is based on a fair and transparent and ethical framework. And then there will be other lines of business that are empowered by AI. Maybe AI-based agriculture and AI-based elder care. And then I think you can just let your imagination wild about, what can the future bring. So what about our current jobs? What stays, what goes? I think with automation, we do not automate jobs, we automate single skills. So if your job has one skill, then you may have a risk of automation. So we will get, machines will be better at doing routine legal work, cutting the crops, driving cars, computer coding, medical diagnostics, maybe surgical operations. But if you have a multi-skilled job, then it is very difficult to automate the whole stack. So let's take, for example, the surgeon. A surgeon will have the robot to help him perform a better surgery with better recovery times, have better diagnostic tools enabled by big data. But would you ever put your life to the hands of a machine to decide for the treatment of a life-threatening condition, for example? I think that this is really unlikely to happen. And then take, for example, the other end of the spectrum of less sophisticated jobs. Take a waiter, for example, or an employee, a McDonald's employee. They do lots of things. They fry potatoes, they take orders, they manage complaints, they even clean the toilets sometimes. So you can automate the little jobs, but then automating the whole lot is a different story, and it is quite unlikely. And then if you're a manager, for example, then you do a whole stack of more subtle tasks, and that is even more difficult to automate. And then there are all those jobs that the human touch cannot really be replaced by a machine. And these jobs are already now in high demand. We do not have enough people of those. And these are jobs like carers for the young and old, teaching assistants, gardeners, social workers, mental health workers, occupational therapists. They are poorly paid, sometimes they're low status, and we need already more of those people. So again, part of their job could be automated, but it cannot be, the human touch cannot be replaced. And then finally, what I see that automation can help with is filling the currently unfilled jobs. There is quite a lot of human labor shortage as we speak. Take Japan, for example. In Japan, 1 in 5 Japanese workers are actually overworked. They work more than 50 hours per week. And they even suffer from symptoms already. So if we can put automation to the service of filling unfilled jobs, we could actually relieve stress from overworked people. So, sorry, let me go first. So AI is more likely, I think, to empower more current jobs and to create higher skilled jobs and better paid jobs than it displaces. But are we ready to embrace it? And I think the biggest challenge that we will face is how to adapt to this increased need for constant skilling and reskilling and upskilling. The half-life of a job skill today is about 5 years, and it is falling. So we will need, the good news is that most of the workers that will be phased out of technology we can be reskilled for a better, for even a better job. But that brings an imperative, this imperative to unlearn. According to the World Economic Forum, we will be seeing more than 1 billion people that will need to be reskilled by 2030 worldwide. So this is a real imperative that we are being faced with. There is also more subtle, a bit existential watch out that is being raised by the experts, and this is about, as we move towards a productive economy with that does not need much labor, what do we do? What a healthy, balanced life will look like when it is not dominated by this concept of work that we know today. When we have free time, because today work largely defines who we are, gives us self-esteem and the likes. So I think some experts see this as a risk of marginalization and people getting bored, losing their identity and self-esteem. But I really think that this could actually be a great opportunity for us to even become more human, to redetermine our priorities, to find new ways to talk about achievements beyond career achievements, to actually redefine our own social purpose. So, how can we better prepare for this workplace of the augmented age? I think first we need to prepare ourselves and others for change, right skills and mindsets. Starting from ourselves as individuals, we need to understand what AI can and cannot do. Alexa is no different than TV brought into the home 50 or 60 years ago. We also need to think very much about what we teach the younger generations. I think I see what my kids get taught at school, and what we teach and test are the things that will be digitized and automated. So we really need to think hard how we empower those younger generations for the right skills that will make them successful in the augmented age. And I think the hard skills are a no-brainer. IT, AI, robotics, automation, it's already exploding. We have more job postings that we can fill. On the soft side, I think curiosity and resilience will be very key to success. Curiosity because we need to continue learning throughout our careers, and resilience because we will need to be able to bounce back and keep moving forward. Companies also need to support employees for continuous change. At the bare minimum, employees need to understand again what AI cannot do, so that they can work better with technology. We also need to make sure that what we develop is a fair, transparent, and ethical framework. And that is the role of everybody, that we ensure that this framework is in place, and also that we minimize the gap between those who have access to technology and those who do not have access to technology. We have a responsibility to eradicate biases from machine learning, because they are human inventions and they do project and replicate the biases of our society. So we need to definitely avoid what we call a zero human mindset. No area in which AI operates should be left unchecked. Tech companies have a great role to play, but thankfully they are already in the right direction, putting ethics and the planet and society in the middle of the strategies, at the center of the strategies. And I think everybody, you scientists, technology specialists, you also have an increased responsibility and role to play in this direction, to ensure that we develop technologies that will have a positive impact in the quality of our life. So I think we should definitely not be fearful. We should be terribly, terribly optimistic. We are looking into a future not of humans versus machines, but of humans enabled by machines. And I think that the effect that AI can have on jobs is absolutely and totally within our control. And also all the statistics so far do point to AI giving a very positive and measurable impact on the global indices that measure social welfare. So I invite you to put digital technologies at work to solve humanity's greatest challenges like inequality, climate change, new jobs creation, but also loneliness and social inclusion. Thank you. Back to you, Nikki.